Yeah, they're already standing outside of the Netflix headquarters and just raising their hands like, pick us.
Pick me, pick me. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crispy Gaming Podcast Show. The Crispy Gaming Podcast is the podcast where we round up the biggest news of the week in gaming so you don't have to. I'm your host, Dennis, and in this week's episode, we're diving in with talking about the exciting Steam Deck all-in portable PC gaming that was just announced. Netflix may expand into video games, and the pirate version of Resident Evil Village improves performance. Joining me as always, Sebastian.
Hello, hello.
And Peter.
Hello, folks.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure to have you here.
I thank you, and the same to you. Always a pleasure being here.
Yeah. So, what have you been guys up to this week?
Yesterday, I started playing Castlevania Area of Sorrow for the GBA.
Ooh.
And this is a favorite Castlevania game for many people out there. And I haven't played it for, I don't know, many years, almost since release, I think.
Right.
And it's a Castlevania game, all right. No surprises, but it's just a very solid title.
When did it release?
It was released in 2003.
Okay.
And it is the last of the three GBA titles.
Yeah.
So if there is one game if you haven't went into the Castlevania series before, this could actually be one of the better ones to start off with. Because the difficulty isn't that high, but it's still fun overall.
Okay.
Good Castlevania game.
Is there any Castlevania games available for the Nintendo Switch Online? Do you know that?
I don't know that at all, actually.
I don't think there is. I would like that Super Castlevania 4 was available, but it's only a part of the anniversary collection, right?
I'm not sure, but that would be amazing to have the Super Nintendo version.
It would be, but yeah, it's a part of the anniversary collection, so I guess it's not the part of the Switch Online.
That's such a shame because we're getting to, I know we've been talking about this in a previous episode, but again, Castlevania, always a franchise I like to try, but never take the opportunity to actually try it. So if they had like one game on Nintendo Switch Online, that would be so convenient for me to just immediately jump in and try it, no matter what of the Castlevania games there is.
But the anniversary edition or collection is available on Switch, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Which games are included in that?
In that one, you have Castlevania 1 to 4.
Okay.
And you also have the two first Game Boy titles, Castlevania The Adventure and Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge. And you also have the Mega Drive game, Castlevania Bloodlines.
That's a big
And then
collection.
you have Kid Dracula that I talked about last week, which is... this game's Joker.
Yeah, that's a big collection.
It is. It's a very solid collection.
Yeah,
actually.
When you see some other series which only have 3 games, for example, Mega Man collections and Mana series and stuff like that, they always have like 3, 4. This was a lot of games included.
This was great.
It's very solid.
I'm writing this down right now. Anniversary collection. I'm gonna check it out. Maybe next time it's on sale or something.
Just be aware that all of those titles are of the old, what we call classic Vania, where you just go from stage to stage.
Right.
And those are not the Metroidvania ones. If those are what you're searching for, then you might need to wait a little bit until the rumored GBA collection appears. That we spoke about a few weeks ago. What have the two of you been up to then?
I have continued bathing in Final Fantasy 14. It's nice to be back.
Again, so jealous. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I think it's been 2 years since I played last time, and it's been really fun to continue the story and playing dungeons and learn everything anew.
Right.
Sebastian and I actually had a little play session the other night where we had where we went head to head with one of the earlier boss fights on the highest difficulty, which is Shiva. And I'm not sure. We spent a little bit more than an hour in there, right, Sebastian? But we managed to kill her on our second round.
Yeah, on our second gaming session.
Exactly, yeah.
Because we first spent an hour, and then we gave up, and then continued later.
Such a fun game, that one.
Yeah, it was really fun to play.
How is it to get back in an MMO like 14 after being absent for 2 years? Because I did a similar thing back in the days when I was playing like World of Warcraft, took a break for maybe 1-2 years. I tried to get back into it, but I just couldn't find the same pleasure. So how is that working out for you?
I think it's helped since Final Fantasy XIV is so heavily story-based.
Right.
Exactly. It's very linear in the story department.
And I knew exactly where I had quit. I knew that I quit right after the Stormblood expansion, and the next mission was part of the end game. I knew that. So, and it was by choice. I ended there, and I wanted to take a break, but I didn't expect it to be 2 years.
Right.
So now I knew exactly where I were in the story, and it was building up something new and continuing on. And now it's really great story. And I mean, that also gave me some opportunity to learn the controls by myself again. And I played some earlier dungeons just to remember everything.
Right. Did you reclass or anything, since you can do that in 14, or did you continue with the same class? And
I'm still my samurai, but maybe I will switch when the next expansion comes out. I will try and see.
Right. Yeah, I think being a narrative story makes a difference, because that was one of my issues with World of Warcraft. Since taking such a long break, you don't remember exactly how your character looked like. Because of patches, things are different. You don't recognize the things in your inventory anymore. You have quest logs. At least I had lots of quest logs that I haven't completed. So I don't know, I felt kind of alienated after being absent for 1-2 years. So
one new thing since last time I played was that now you can fly in the early
you mean the earlier zones in the game?
Yeah, in the earlier zones, exactly.
Right.
So that was really cool to just teleport there, take out my mount, and then try, where can I fly? Can I fly through it? Can I fly around this? Cool. And it was really cool where you have always just, you had to take elevators and stairs, and you need to go around this part, and yeah, you knew everything exactly where you had to go, but it was always annoying. And now you could just jump up on your mount and just fly where you wanted to. And it was really cool to just fly around and see how it looked from the skies.
I get that. You get to appreciate the same area, but from a different perspective. Yeah. It kind of makes the old area a bit newer. So, cool.
Mm-hmm. And I felt that when I had some quests where I had to go to the early parts, by reflex, it was just, up with the mount and fly to the next quest point. And when that's done, fly to the next. Instead of what I would have done 2 years ago, jump up on my mount and run.
It makes a huge difference, for sure.
Yeah, a really huge difference.
For me, I haven't done much, to be honest. Been having quite a relaxing week, lots of work, but I managed to squeeze in some gaming time, still trying to push through Ni no Kuni for the Switch. Been enjoying it very much, and I think I'm getting to the end game. Not quite sure where it ends, but it kind of feels like in the narrative now in the story that I am getting to the ending part. So we'll see if I can say next time that I completed the game.
But you have enjoyed it so far, right?
Yeah, I think I am maybe around 35 hours in, and I've been enjoying it. There are so many moments in the game where you like sit back, and I really appreciate, like, wow, they've done such a good job here. So many like tiny little details, and you really feel the passion that they had when they made the game, for sure.
Right, because I've only played the game for a few hours myself, but I especially remember the first town that you visit.
The Ding Dong Dell.
Yeah, that's probably it, yeah. And I also remember that I really felt the passion behind how they built the whole city, and it just felt like a really nice place to be in. And I enjoyed talking with all the townspeople and doing side questing there, because it was just, like I mentioned, a nice place to be. Does that feeling consist throughout the whole game?
Yes, so far it does. And also,
nice.
It's so carefully crafted with respecting your time, which I love, because some RPGs have this issue where if you need to do some backtracking, you still have to spend the same amount of time going through that specific area like you did the first time. But the experience is different, because now you don't discover, you already been there. And this is such a pleasure with Ni no Kuni, because they know that and they respect your time. So every time you are going through like a larger section of the game and you want to backtrack, there are teleporters, so you can skip that part, because there's nothing in there to see because you already done it. And that is such a tiny thing that makes the progression in the game so much more fluent. So I really enjoy that. So I would say like for every person out there who enjoys the classic JRPGs, trying Ni no Kuni out is a great experience so far for me. I really recommend
it. The combat is semi-active, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, so I would say, now when we're on the subject with MMOs, I think it kind of feels a bit like a mix between classic JRPGs and MMOs like World of Warcraft. And haven't played Final Fantasy 14, but looking at the gameplay also looks quite similar. So you have to cancel attacks to defend. You can dodge when you get the, like in example in Final Fantasy 14, you get the red circle, and you know that in 2 seconds, maybe that area will catch fire. Don't stand in that area, move away from it. Ni no Kuni have the same type of battle system. So it's really engaging.
It do sound very MMO-like when you describe it like that.
Yeah. And also you have different elements on it's kind of like the Pokemon game that you always wanted in some extent, with having different attributes to the monsters you're using to fight for you. And some attributes in the monsters are stronger against a different type. So sometimes you have to switch out to a different element to be more effective. And so it's a good mix of everything good in gaming, honestly. I think they've done a fantastic job, so I can't wait to play the second installment when it gets released to the Switch this year.
The only element I know of is fire, because this heat is currently killing me. should we move on and touch on news?
Yeah, sure.
Before Peter passes out. So absolutely. Yeah. The first news here, like the breaking news here. Steam just announced Steam Deck, which is like, how should we put it? It's a portable gaming power system. It's running Steam OS, and I think this is like the Switch for PC, to put it lightly, right?
This is a Switch on steroids.
Yeah. Exactly. So they just announced it. It's an all-in-one portable PC gaming machine, and it looks to have like all the batteries included here. And it's where to begin? You have all your Steam library. It's gonna be on this thing. And you can purchase 3 different versions of it. What was I'm scrolling through here. Here we go. The 64 gigabyte, the 256 gigabyte, and the 512 gigabyte option. So you have 3 different options here, but you have the same power in all of these. This is just like a storing upgrade if you want it. And I think it looks fantastic. It's black, it's slick, and I'm tempting to click on the reserve here, to be honest. What do you guys think about this news?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to convey to our listeners here that this was actually released, or this piece of news was actually released 1 minute before we started the call. So it's, you mentioned that we just got news about it, but it is very, very fresh, this piece of news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm actually a bit excited about this one. I did not think I wanted this, but after having looked a bit at this page where they are presenting the Steam Deck, it's speaking to me more and more.
Yeah.
But it depends on a lot of things, doesn't it? I mean, if the controllers are actually feeling good, if it is running if it is as smooth as they say it is.
If the joystick is drifting.
Exactly. And if those touchpad areas are good at mimicking mouse movements and
right. Yeah, so
yeah,
I guess we're waiting for to see the adaptation rate also to see how successful this is going to be. But in general, this is dropping in the ending of this year in the US, and also more regions coming to in 2022. So they still have, I guess we're going to have more information before we can get our hands on it and try it ourselves. But overall, like on paper, it looks fantastic. It really does. And we're seeing more and more different options with different brands going the portability route. So you can clearly see the impact Nintendo is doing for the gaming industry in general here.
Right.
And I mean, the one with only 64 gigabytes is only 419 euro. And that is only about 60 euros more than the Switch OLED that was announced the previous week.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then you need to remember that PC games are a lot bigger than Switch games.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Zelda Breath of the Wild is a big Switch game, so I don't think that's even 16 gigs. While, some new PC titles are 100 gigs on the hard drives. So
that's true, but maybe
64 gig on the system, that sounds really tiny if you want to install some real game. And I mean, if you look at the picture right above it, then the game that is on the screen is Control. Is that even... Can you even install that on 64 gigs?
I mean, there are some games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Call of Duty that is getting over 100 gigabytes, right?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's what I mean. So
yeah.
So you most likely need to get at least the middle of the pack model, which is at 550 euros.
Yeah, right. Unless there is some that the developers can optimize just for this version, just like they can with Switch. So when you download the game on this system, then you don't get the 4K resolution pack because you don't need it, because the screen is only 800p.
Yeah, I actually have faith in Steam here. I think they're going to do some type of optimization, because it's like you're saying, it's very unlogical to download higher assets if the system can't take advantage of it.
Yeah. If they can solve that part, then I'm fine, because it would be very boring to buy this kind of system and only be able to play indie games, because that's the only one that...
I was just gonna say that, because I'm looking at my Steam library as we speak, and all the games I've played this year, I think none of them are over 2 gigabytes of size, because there's just indie games all over the place.
Yeah. But indie games are fantastic.
Yeah.
They are.
I just downloaded Final Fantasy 14 on another computer, and that was 60 gigs, I think.
Right. Different kind of beast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but also, I mean, this is going to be the issue of this generation as well, that people are already accepting. If we look at the Xbox X and PlayStation 5, we need bigger storage, but it's a matter of cost, honestly. So we're going to have this generation where we can't have all games in our library. We need to delete them, re-download them. So I guess this is going to be the norm from now on.
Unfortunately, yes. But at the same time, compression is getting better and better. I know that I have read about, I don't remember which game it was, that the PS4 game was actually bigger than the PS5 games because of compression. And like they talked about when they announced the PlayStation 5, where because they have the storage is so fast, they can skip to have, how did they describe it?
Right.
Previously, they had some textures and models on more places on the storage, because they wanted to have everything
available
for the same, available at the same place on the hard drive. But now where they have an SSD, they don't need to do that, so they can just have this texture one time, which also saves space.
Exactly. I remember the presentation as well. And I mean, I think we need that type of technology because the SSD is so fast, so you can have the asset at one place and you can always reach for that no matter where in the disk you are.
I haven't thought about that, but that is a very nice detail.
Otherwise, with the traditional way, it just takes too long to reach for that because it's in a, I don't know how to put it in English, like a different memory socket or something in that direction, right? I think that's how you put it without going too nerdy into it. But
yeah, they were talking about it. If you think one stage, then you have these textures or sprites or models. And then on the next stage, some of them will be there also. Then instead of just going back to the last stage and fetch textures there, they will have a copy of it in that folder or quote unquote. Also, just so it's in a near place. I don't really know why the computer need to work like that, but now they can just share. This shared texture can be on one place and be accessed from everywhere.
Yeah, they don't have to double dip, basically.
Yeah.
And I guess this is what we're seeing also when we look at, for example, mobile phones, and if we take Apple into consideration here, when everything went from full HD, 1080p to 4K, we got the HEVC standard for video and stuff to compromise down that 4K in order to make it fit on the 64 gigabyte standard option for iPhones. So hopefully things are gonna improve just like on video and stuff.
Hopefully, yes. But it's easier to do stuff like that on a locked system like the iPhone or PlayStation 5 and not a real computer like this is. So it will be really interesting to see how they solve that part. But it will be really interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the main issues here, or it doesn't have to be an issue, but things to be considered about. Other than that, I feel very excited about the Steam Deck. I hope this is gonna turn out great for them because I love the idea. I want to see more. I think also crossing my fingers because I don't want Nintendo to do a different route during the next iteration of systems. I want them to do a Switch 2 type of route. So I really enjoy seeing other competitors trying to dip into that space as well, because maybe that puts more pressure to Nintendo to do the Nintendo route again. So I'm excited. Will you guys buy the Steam Deck?
Well, I might. I mean, it depends a lot on the situation I am when I want to buy new hardware. And if I am gonna, for example, if I know that I'm gonna travel to 2 times or 3 times a year outside of my my home area, then I think this could actually be a very solid thing to pick up. Right. I guess it depends a lot on what Nintendo announces in the same department.
Right.
For the closest in the near future.
So what is let's say you purchase the system, what is the number one game you want to play on it that you can't reach for on your Switch?
Everything I was about to say, but
I have an answer.
Final Fantasy 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that as well, because that game is actually very, very heavy on the story side, and it's more or less a visual novel at certain times. Being able to read up on the story for 2 hours in my sofa and then go and play a raid on the PC, I think that would be a very good combination of how to actually utilize this system.
Yeah, right. I have really been thinking that would be a perfect game for a Switch. And then I saw a video from Digital Foundry that the PlayStation 4 barely could handle it. So, yeah, the Switch would explode if they tried.
Are talking about FF14, are they going to support the PlayStation 4 system? Are they still supporting it? Or will they, now with the new expansion and all, will it be on PlayStation 4 as well?
They are supporting it for at least another expansion, so probably for at least 2 years moving forward.
Yeah. They have been really good at that.
Right.
I think
that's fantastic.
I don't remember how long the PlayStation 3 version was supported, but I think it was a while actually, and you could upgrade for free or if it was some small sum. But to PS5, it's free to upgrade, I think.
Have we spoken about the dock of the Steam Deck?
No, we haven't. Is there a dock?
Because there is a dock, and that is sold separately. That is not included with the system, but there is one. I think that's very important to mention that you are able to more or less.
I didn't know that. I missed this.
It's a little bit hidden away on the site at the moment, at least, but it's there on the technical specification page.
Ooh, there we have it. Yeah, use your deck as a PC because it is one. Ooh.
So how about the two of you? Are you gonna get it?
I may get it. 50-50. I may actually get it. I'm gonna wait for the reviews and also want to see the adaptation rate of it to see if it's how it works. And I may actually get this one because this is perfect for me. And as I said previously, I really love the fall-in portable gaming systems. So this is definitely speaking up to my alley.
I was
it feels
wondering,
like a Dennis product.
I can't really find, it has a USB-C port, right? Is that only USB-C or is it a Thunderbolt? It seems to be just a USB 3.2 Gen 2 port. The USB standard name are so easy to use nowadays.
You can also use a powered USB-C hub if you got one laying around when they're talking about the dock here in on the description of the hardware section. That's all I can find. But yeah, I mentioned also in a previous episode, I really want to see the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters for the Switch, and this could be a shortcut.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gonna play it could be argued that it may not be worth it to purchase this system just to play that collection or yeah.
No.
Just play 30 old year games, but that's nice.
Yeah, that you can even play on your iPhone. So
yeah, that's true.
Then maybe don't buy this thing just for those.
Right. But talking about availability here, can I move on to the next section? Because I'm really eager to talk about this one.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Sure.
So our next news here is that we're getting reports that Netflix may fully adapt and go into the gaming space. We already seen series like The Witcher, and also they have the deal with Sony PlayStation with the Uncharted movies. So now we're getting reports that Netflix may take it a step further and go into the gaming industry itself with hiring the head of EA Mobile as VP of game development. And what do we think here? Is this good news?
I'm not really sure about good news, but it's certainly interesting news.
Wholeheartedly agree with that sentence.
Yeah, especially since he was the senior vice president at EA Mobile and he was the CEO at Zynga.
Yep.
Two companies that I'm not really a fan of because of the kind of games they are doing.
Exactly, and their monetization models are usually very heavily fueled by microtransactions.
Exactly, so I don't really want to see a Stranger Things game with a lot of microtransactions. But if they do a great Stranger Things game or some other interesting series they have and make a good game about that, then I'm all for it. But I'm skeptical with his background.
Kind of, I imagine games like the Telltale's game series, that would be kind of perfect for Netflix, and they can do that along with their series and stuff. That would be quite cool.
They would be really interesting.
Would fit well, I guess. But they haven't spoken anything about what kind of games we can expect in this for this service, right?
No.
Only that they will dip their toes into gaming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're gonna license games from other developers and make use of controllers on platforms that support it.
I don't think they can go too aggressive, to be honest. I think we're gonna see some Game Pass similar thing here, but it doesn't sound like Netflix to just go for the Zynga type of route with games. Netflix feels, at least to me, like it's gonna be more upscale, like bigger games.
I can agree with that. I'm a little bit surprised that he was from Zynga and EA Mobile.
Exactly.
It sounds like they were taking that road. I think more like you said, like Telltale or Don't Nod or something similar.
Right. Exactly. To like a question here, would you guys feel that if they went into the gaming route here, can they charge extra for that service, or should it just be included in the standard package?
The price of Netflix are increasing a little bit every now and then, right? I think it will just keep on increasing a little bit, even after this is introduced. But at the beginning, it will not be raised, I think. And I think I even read somewhere that they don't plan on raising the price at the beginning due to this.
Right.
I think it's going to be included as it is.
Because you have different pricing plans if you want to, for example, if you like 4K streaming, have to pay extra to get that 4K. So that's what I was thinking about. Can they charge extra to get the gaming content as well?
Now you are assuming that they will have their own gaming platform.
I am. Aren't you guys assuming that?
No, I'm just assuming they will do games and then release those on PC or Xbox or PlayStation.
This is interesting. I automatically just assume that we're going to have like a gaming tab inside of the Netflix platform. Like Game Pass, and you can stream it.
For me, that is a lot. That is far away from. I mean, I don't even know if Netflix is capable of that, as they said, within the next year.
Yeah, that is why I asked the question I stated in the beginning. Like, how are they gonna do this? Are we gonna have a controller that we can control things with? If it is. Like Dennis and I are imagining here, where we have a gaming section in the Netflix, in the Netflix app, wherever you're using that.
Well, I'm gonna say that they're gonna follow the streaming, and I think we're gonna have a gaming tab, and you can grab your DualShock or DualSense, whatever, and use that one. Steam controller. I think they're gonna do that route, and maybe put on some classic games. Maybe you can play the OG Sonic games as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that type of route here with Netflix.
That would surprise me so much.
But it's a great question. We don't know, right? But I would be surprised. I mean, it's Netflix. It's about streaming and be very accessible.
Yeah, but also it's about their content, which they want to reach other platforms on, like they have already beginning to do with there is this Stranger Things beaten up games, and it was this what was it, Dark Crystal or something like that was a game.
Yeah, the very old TV series, or
wasn't Netflix involved in creating that game in some way? I think
might be.
I have no clue.
But I'm reading in the Bloomberg article here that the idea is to offer video games on the Netflix streaming platform. So
okay.
I think that is the takeaway here. But the question still remains, like, what kind of games are they gonna offer? Are they gonna just require you to be able to use a controller? Because using a remote controller, that I know a lot of people that are using Netflix via their televisions.
That's right, yeah.
And they need a nice and easy way to make people hook up the controllers if they want to do this properly.
Yeah. So I think they will need to release some kind of hardware you can connect to, like the Steam Link, or what's Amazon's streaming service called?
Is it called Prime?
No, Luna or something like that.
Oh, Luna, right.
Does most TVs today have Bluetooth included in them?
I would say that, yes.
Yeah, I would say that, yes.
Then I guess that is also a route that they could take, just require Bluetooth as a minimum at least, in order to play the games. And of course, you're able to use Netflix on devices such as any tablets or phones, and those have different ways of connecting controllers as well.
Exactly. And I mean, I guess the most realistic comparison here, again, it really depends on the games that is going to be accessible or available. But I guess you can compare it to the Apple TV you can play some games with the controller, some games with the Apple TV remote, and it is to be argued how good the TV remote actually is to play games on. But they make it work in some of the games. So maybe we're going to see that type of content on it.
Yeah. I'm also betting a ton of money on that we will see a lot of Ubisoft titles on this thing. It just feels like Ubisoft is everywhere where those kind of things are going on.
Yeah. Ubisoft is very quick on every platform.
Yeah, they're already standing outside of the Netflix headquarters and just raising their hands like, pick us.
Pick me. Look at this guy. I'm here.
So you want the next Assassin's Creed and
take it all.
Yeah, exactly. With the live service, it's perfect. Just take it right here.
Oh, right.
I think speaking of Assassin's Creed, speaking about that, I think the Steam Deck will also get the next Assassin's Creed native from Ubisoft.
Everyone will get it native from Ubisoft.
Yeah.
But hey, they're making good games. They're making great games, so can't complain. More games to the people.
They are okay.
Marvelous Rabbids looks cool.
That game is great. You should still play it. What are you waiting for, man? Just play the game.
I don't own it.
I'm waiting for the rabbits to go away.
Oh, you did not say that.
Yes, I did.
Take it back, man.
No.
The rabbits are great.
Agree to disagree. But yeah, it will be really interesting to see Netflix joining the fight also. I mean, streaming services has really started to explode with Stadia and Luna and xCloud, and now this.
And also
there is a lot of them.
The Apple Arcade as well.
That's not streaming.
Oh, you're talking specifically about Steam. I thought you were talking about like subscription services for games.
No, because Stadia is not a subscription service.
Right. My mistake.
There are a lot of them, but I don't feel like anyone has made a good splash yet.
I agree. Kind of waiting for it.
Yeah. That's what's made me think that they wouldn't, because why would they succeed when even Google and Amazon can't really make it work?
Exactly. It's they need something to really stand out. Well, of course, just being Netflix is standing out.
Absolutely.
From the beginning a bit as well, but I'm not sure what would make people join on this, jump on the bandwagon.
And I mean, both Google and Amazon have their whole own cloud network. I mean, we have Google Cloud Platform, and we have of AWS, and Microsoft with xCloud, they have their Azure. Netflix is relying on some of these cloud platforms. They don't have their own. So if they three can't even make it happen, then how can Netflix, who don't even have the infrastructure of their own?
It's gonna be interesting. I'm wondering, because the reason I'm leaning into how I think it's gonna turn out is when you look back at how Netflix started with the content in movies and TV series, because they purchased the rights to just stream it via the platform, and then when they grew bigger, they started to produce their own exclusive content, and also that's when things like Disney Plus and all try to catch up, also removing their content from Netflix to stand out on their own service. So maybe we're getting the same story here again, that maybe Netflix can pull it off, and we'll see other people are trying to catch up afterwards. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Only time will tell.
Yeah. And one thing we know, I'm switching to the third news here now. we know that piracy is not a good thing in gaming, and this story is just, for me, this is hilarious. The latest news here is that there is a pirate version of Resident Evil Village that actually improves the performance on the game on PC. And for those who don't know, the PC port for Resident Evil Village has been quite iffy for quite a while now. And with frame stutters and performance issues, and the pirate version here don't have that issues. So I think this is hilarious. What do you guys think about this news?
This is not how it is supposed to be. This is just wrong all over the place.
Things like this make me so angry. I mean, I understand that they need to have DRM to protect their game and stop piracy. But I mean, like we can see, piracy happened anyway.
Sure.
And if you're going to have it, don't make the buyer have a worse experience
than the pirate, exactly.
Yeah, it just makes me so angry.
And for anyone out there that might not know about DRM, it's standing for Digital Rights Management, and it's just a way for developers to make sure that your copy is actually legit and that you have to have an internet connection that just constantly are telling the servers that, hey, I'm using a correct version, I'm not a pirate.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I guess it can be implemented in different ways, but
this seems to validate it every time you shoot an enemy or something like that, because the performance is horrible when you compare it to, for example, PlayStation 4, which is running better almost.
It's weird because, as Peter mentioned already, the DRM can be implemented differently. Some games, they check when you boot up the game and then don't check anymore. And some games are requiring the internet connection like 24/7 and also checking the system while you're actually playing the game. And it seems like here, we haven't checked under the hood with the code and all, but it seems like there are some code issues here with the DRM, taking way too much CPU overhead when checking if your digital copy of the game is legit or not. And since the pirate version don't have that DRM, the game is actually running better. But as you guys said already, it's not good when it's better to go pirate instead of doing it the legit way.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that should happen. And I mean, the game released the 7th of May, so it has been out for more than 2 months. And now, when the crack has come out and it has been revealed that the DRM is the reason why the performance is so bad, now Capcom is coming out and saying they will patch it. Like, you should have done that the first week.
I mean, there's this movement online that if you look at the forums also, that there are people who purchase a legit version of the game, but they are still going for the pirate version just because it runs better, because they don't want to wait anymore to play the game. I'm not surprised either.
Same.
So this is just a power to the people kind of thing, but still piracy is always wrong. But I agree, Capcom, why wait so many months to fixing, honestly, a tiny issue?
Yeah. Ooh, it just makes me angry.
And this is taking away so much from the game, because I remember I was watching the game a little bit when it was released. A friend of mine streamed it. It's one of our listeners, by the way, as well. So shout out to him.
Oh.
I remember when he encountered an enemy that just spawns a ton of small flies moving all over the screen. Mm-hmm. And the game just started like crazy. And his computer is very up to date. So his computer should not have those issues. And I remember Googling it, and there were so many people out there complaining about the exact same issue on the PC specifically.
Yeah. I played it on Xbox and I didn't see any of those issues.
No, I think it's a different type of DRM system that comes along with PlayStation and Xbox. I'm not sure, but I think that's how it works. Yeah. But it's more custom made per game for PC.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't happen on a stronger computer than an Xbox.
No,
for sure.
No,
or especially a PlayStation 4, which can even run this.
Yeah. So it's quite hilarious if you think about it.
And just like Sebastian mentioned previously, it is good that Capcom is finally just getting around to fix it, but it shouldn't take this long. We shouldn't have to complain and do news articles like this.
We shouldn't need to crack the game and have evidence that it can run better before they are, oh, okay, now maybe we should
It's just
push out a patch. That should come already with the reviews that the game was lacking in performance on PC.
Yeah, it's just a lack of quality assurance from their part from the PC port, because obviously, since everyone is having these issues, obviously they knew about these issues from the first place.
I find it a bit strange, actually. I mean, Resident Evil is Capcom's, or at least one of their biggest franchises.
Exactly.
Alongside Monster Hunter, I guess. But I would thought that they would just take better care of it.
I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been having, this is not the first time DRM is issues in games. I remember back when, like, Diablo 3, for example, was a big hit and miss with the DRM as well. So, picking your feathers, Peter.
People were mad.
People were mad. Yeah, to
rightfully so,
people were mad. Yeah.
It's hardly the first time, and it's doubtful it will be the last time, unfortunately.
But still, it's surprising, since it's not it's not news that DRM may be iffy in some games. I don't understand why people implement it differently and still creating issues for a topic that is already so old.
Yeah. I just feel bad for all the people who bought it on PC, that they had bought such an inferior version of the game, a broken version of the game.
I agree. But hopefully now, since Capcom is actually addressing the issue, hopefully we can report back when they have released a patch and say, like, hey, now we can play the game.
Yeah, hopefully.
It really just shows that the optimal way to play any game on almost any platform is just to wait at least 1 year before playing it.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's a bit sad that it has come to this, but playing a game on release, you're just giving yourself a way worse experience than you're gonna get in about 1 year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
for the
back
most
in the
part,
day,
yes.
For the most part, yes.
Yeah, and you can see that when you compare it to older games, since you couldn't patch those games, and sure, there were glitches in those games as well, but it wasn't never a game-breaking type of thing. But now, I mean, we can have different issues in games that the games can actually be so broken that you can't complete them, and it's just
Those existed back in the day, but they weren't that common.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it have become a bigger problem.
I think you were brave, Dennis, that you're using the word never, but rarely, I would say.
Okay.
I know one that was on the GameCube, which had a game-breaking bug right at the end.
Really? Which game?
Prince of Persia: Sand of Time.
Ooh.
It had some kind of game-breaking bug right at the end of the game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so. Didn't in the first Pokemon releases as well, with the missing no Pokemon, if you catch that and save your game, can't you just corrupt your data as well then?
You can, but wasn't that kind of the point? Yeah. I don't know. Feels like that was like
a lot of people used it for farming rare candies, I think, but so people had to be very careful around that.
Right, living on the edge.
Yeah, living on the edge.
I remember when some friends actually caught that, and they showed the game when we were at school, like, look what I got. This is so cool. Like, wow, how did you get that? That must have been a feature. That's not a glitch. Okay, so
it was cool.
Maybe not never, but rarely. Good correction.
Yeah, and I remember on Wii, I remember that some game was actually so broken that they had to fix it. So, but because the Wii wasn't compatible with the sending out patches, because it
right.
didn't have that much of storage. You needed to get a new copy of the game with a new disc to play.
Oh, that is hardcore.
And I think Metroid Prime 3 had some kind of problem that your save could be corrupted or something. Then you needed to download an app on your Wii to fix the save game. You didn't patch the game, but this application would save your game data.
Like a backup.
Yeah.
Like side loaded.
We're sidetracking a bit there, but it was the same for Twilight Princess. They also had a separate channel, and that channel was ironically used then to just crack everything out of the Wii, and was used forever to just make homebrews run and crack games and everything.
Oh,
poor thing.
I love the Wii. Good days.
The Wii was nice.
Yeah.
In some weird way, yeah.
All right. I feel like we're getting to the crispy take section here. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Any one of you want to start, or should I start?
It sounds like you're ready to go, Dennis.
Yeah,
so
it sounds
please
like
go ahead and start.
I'm so ready. I want to highlight that my crispy take of the week is that the news about Final Fantasy X-3. So there was this like talk from Nomura, and he was talking about Final Fantasy X, and he mentioned that the story, the narrative for X-3 is already written. And also like a side point here that we may wait for it because they want to finish everything regarding Final Fantasy VII Remake, which totally fine. But still, this is exciting because I love Final Fantasy X. I'm not sure if I want a X-3 or just a like Final Fantasy 17 or whatever. But still, it's kind of cool that they already have a story for it, which also makes sense since we have had that audio tape type of thing continuing after the, how should you say it, like 10.2.5? That is a mouthful.
Yeah, that was included in the 10.2.5 was included in the Japanese release, I think, for Final Fantasy X-2, and then we also had something called Final Fantasy X Will included in the remakes or the remasters that was released a couple of years ago.
Right.
I haven't really looked into those a lot.
Me neither.
The extra bonus content, but I am a huge fan of, especially Final Fantasy X. I would say that it is my favorite Final Fantasy game. I do also enjoy Final Fantasy X too, even though it's a special case. I really like the combat and everything in that game, but it is a strange game for sure.
Agree.
So, but you would be, Peter, you would be up to, if we get a X-3, would you return to Spyro?
Oh yes, I would.
Oh yeah.
As long as it doesn't just, suck. If it's really bad, then I would avoid it, because then the story ended for me at X-2, and I don't want to hear any more about it. Right. But as long as it's at least decent, I would definitely like to go back.
How about you, Sebastian? How do you feel when you heard about this news?
I really like when they expand on the same universe. I don't really need to see a new game with the same characters, but I would love to see a new game in Spyro, because I really like that kind of things where they share the same world or universe or whatever we are talking about.
I see. Okay, but interesting.
I don't really need a direct sequel. But
right.
Yeah, I would definitely want to play it unless it looked really bad.
For me, what I'm thinking here is that it's kind of weird in one way that we may get a X-3 since we already have a X-2, and it kind of feels like maybe some other Final Fantasies should have a sequel instead of getting a third version of Final Fantasy X. But I'm the opposite regarding if we get a 10 here with the story, because for me that was quite iffy in X-2 that we didn't get to play as Tidus. And if they're gonna go for the X-3 here, I want to play as Tidus again. So that could be depending on the review story and all, sure, absolutely. But like in general, I would feel better if Tidus was the main character again, like in the original game.
I don't really have any preferences. I would just like the game to be good, and of course, combat being interesting again.
I agree.
Because the combat in especially Final Fantasy X it's one of my favorites in any JRPGs.
Yeah, same. I think it's fantastic. It's a bit of a shame they didn't reuse that combat system.
For sure.
So anyway, that was my crispy pick. I'm excited to hear more about this. What about you guys? Do you have any crispy picks that you want to highlight this week?
I can go next.
Nice.
So I'm not really sure how to say this without going into an awfully long history lesson here, but we have this big series in Japan that is called Super Robot Wars. And the main idea about this series is that you combine a load of different anime series that is containing mecha fighters or mecha robots. So a lot of you probably know about Gundam or Code Geass or
Neon Genesis,
Evangelion, Messenger. We have a lot of them. And all of those series in this title called Super Robot Wars are just mixed together. They're being played as tactical strategy RPGs. And you just fight things in them, and then they're really nice and fun and contains a lot of good-looking animations. But the main takeaway here from my take is that those games have almost exclusively been residing in only Japan, because the licensing around those series has just been a nightmare, because all the different mecha series and are from different anime series, and those belong to different companies, and we have almost never gotten any games in this series outside of Japan, except for a few cases where they are only using original robots.
Right.
So they have released 2 games in the series for the West, for the GB. So that was a very long time ago.
Okay.
But with the recent release, or the upcoming release, which is called Super Robot Wars 30, which is to celebrate that this is the 30th anniversary of the series, it seems that we're gonna get the game in the West finally, because it have appeared on its own Steam page in almost every region out there, which is the first time ever.
Bravo to the West. Also with with Ace Attorney, also the professor, what was his name? I always mix that up. The Sherlock guy.
Herlock
Sholmes.
Herlock Sholmes. Kind of the same. So bravo to the West here with making the licensing work for once. But explain to me, since I mean, all I know about like these mecha type of thing is the Dynasty Warriors Gundam version. That's all I know. So what type of game is this? Is it a 1 versus 1,000? Is it a fighting game? Because I didn't quite understand the trailer, because there was just robots yelling at each other in Japanese.
Yeah, exactly. And the trailer just doesn't convey very well how the gameplay is done. But imagine, how should we say it, Sebastian? Can we make you imagine Fire Emblem, but without the permadeath, and just a more focus on the animations themselves when you perform the attacks? It's usually a lot more over the top.
Yeah, the animations is a lot more funny. Or look a lot cooler than a guy running up and swinging his sword.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And in most cases, like most fans have seen at least a few of those anime series, right, that are into the game. So a lot of the big takeaway is you're seeing your favorites duke it out with other series that you don't know about, and you get to learn about those different series, and you get interested into those.
Oh,
and it's just such a cool crossover. Yeah. It's such a hard thing to sell it here, but if you are into robots and the mecha anime, then you should definitely look into this.
But that sounds quite cool, because I understand what you're trying to say, because that was a similar feeling I had as a big Final Fantasy fan and also a Disney fan when they made Kingdom Hearts in the first place, and you could see your characters interact with each other and react to the persona of that character. So I totally get what you're saying here if you're a fan of these anime series. It sounds cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Do you think I can enjoy this game if I never seen any of the anime shows?
If you like strategy RPGs, then absolutely.
I like strategy RPGs.
And if you are into cool looking robots as well.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool.
And amazing music.
Oh.
Yes, for sure. And most of the games are standalone, so this game, Super Robot Wars 30, just seems to be its own thing as well.
Right.
So there's no issue just jumping into this one if you're interested. And it's gonna be released on Switch as well, Dennis.
Ooh, now we're talking. Yeah, I mean, absolutely check it out. I'm gonna do some research about this game and the previous games on YouTube probably after the show.
So anyway, as a person that has been a fan of this series for a very long time, I'm very excited that we're finally getting this in West and just wanted to bring that up.
I agree.
It was a great pick. You got me excited.
Nice. I can feel that the heat is just butchering my way to speak right now, and it's so harsh. So how about you, Sebastian? What is your crispy take?
Yeah, I will bring back the conversation to Final Fantasy, but I will keep talking about Final Fantasy 14.
Do it, man. Keep talking about it.
Because news has come out that there have been a big surge in players.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
In recent times. So the complete edition has sold out for PC and PS4 for the new expansion. But the Mac version is still available.
Yes.
I didn't barely know that it was still available on Mac.
I thought the same, like it's still a Mac version, but okay, It's still a Mac version.
And they even have problems with having enough digital copies of the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was something that could happen.
Thing, right? No.
That must be very rare. But I guess that they are just generating a set amount of keys every day, I would assume.
Yeah, maybe. Something like that.
Imagine the boardroom at Square Enix right now. Like throwing money everywhere, like, we made it, boys and guys and ladies, we made it. Took a while, but we made it.
I was watching one of the biggest WoW streamer the other day, Asmongold.
Yeah.
And he had started to play Final Fantasy 14. And the first time he started playing the game, he had, I think it was 220,000 viewers. It was just such an insane amount of people watching him. And the hype around him going over and trying out Final Fantasy 14 and moving away from WoW for a bit, and a lot of other big streamers and personalities out there doing the same. There's just so much hype regarding Final Fantasy 14 right now.
Yeah. And that guy is driving sales for sure. It was quite spectacular when he logged in as well. People were, like, veteran players for Final Fantasy 14 were greeting him, like saying, "Hi, welcome to our world." I thought it was quite fantastic.
And I mean, it is this kind of hype with every expansion, but I mean, this expansion is still months away. So it's not really the expansion that is bringing the hype. The hype is coming naturally, and then it will keep going when the expansion is coming. So it's a very excited time to be playing Final Fantasy 14.
Oh yes.
And so since it's an MMO, the more players, the better game experience. So this is fantastic. This is such a big win, as you're saying already, with Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah. So that was my crispy pick.
Excellent pick. Excellent.
Kudos to Square Enix for being able to do this.
Yeah, especially when you compare it to the fiasco that it was in the beginning.
Yep, the show that was the first release.
Yeah. But they made the perfect digital baby. It's a fantastic game.
A digital baby that has sold out.
Yeah. I'm so excited to start playing Shadowbringers now that I almost finished with the Stormblood.
Yeah, and I'm excited to hear about your experience. All right, gentlemen. I feel like we're done with the picks. And I'm gonna ask the classic question. You guys ready?
Ready.
Is it a wrap?
It's a crisp wrap.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Perfect in line and sync. I love it. You have trained well.
You have trained us well, Dennis.
And with that said, as always, thank you guys for joining us in this week's discussion. Always a pleasure. And remember to share the show and click the like button. We appreciate it. Help us spread and grow. And with that said, thank you and hope to see you in the next episode. This has been a Crispy Gaming production.
Now I'm going to turn on my fan. See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Turning on the fan. Woohoo.